Ridham, just want to get a take from you also on, the global bond indices. There's been a little bit of chatter around that and possibly an inclusion coming in on that front. Is that something the market is expecting to hear in the budget?
So, I don't think the market is expecting it. It doesn't look like it's priced into the bond markets or the equity markets. It's something that we are expecting. And what exactly are we expecting? We're expecting clarification on the taxation of income that fixed income investors coming into the fully accessible route bonds, FAR in short, that's the acronym for fully accessible route bonds, have to pay. So essentially, it's an exemption from filing returns because Euroclear has promised the government that they will do the needful on behalf of these investors. And if the government does go to that extent, then I think it will set the stage for an inclusion of India into global bond indices in a couple of quarters from now. So maybe the third quarter of this year. Now that entails massive inflows. Just the passive flows that could come in the subsequent 12 months could be of the magnitude of $20 billion. It doesn't count for the active money that comes in. India, for the first time, will actually attract that type of inflow. And there will be a global yield profile that India will have. It will take the burden of financing the government's deficit partly away from domestic banks. So they will feel a release of liquidity, which they can then put into work into the credit market, which essentially means private investments get crowded in, and you also get a bid on the 10-year, so the yield curve flattens. So all these are really massive implications for India's growth and for India's BOP. So if this clarification comes, I think this may be the biggest takeaway from the budget.
Ridham, I also wanted to check on the LTCG. Market is rife with buzz that it might be hiked to 15%, and that's spooking investors.
Yeah, it was in the air last year as well, and it's in the air now. The introduction of long-term capital gains tax in 2018 was not such a, it was a successful experiment. The government has collected taxes, and there is this opinion that long-term capital gains tax should be aligned with the other taxes in the country. My own view is that it's still early days. India still needs a growing pool of risk capital. We can't be continuously relying on global investors to provide that for us. That's what's happened over the past 30 years. We need to encourage further flows into equities. It's a very nascent story. If investors and one of the things that equities does is provide this lower taxation benefit, especially for those who are willing to hold it for the long run. So I would hope that this incentive stays. If the incentive goes away partly, yes, you're right, it will spook the market. It did in 2018, and it could again, especially the broad market, small and mid caps, could really get hurt in the short run.